Welcome to Peak TV. I'm Niv Dagan, Executive Director of Peak Asset Management, and we've got Prashant Chintawar, CEO and Managing Director of Vault Resources. Prashant, it's really nice to see you.
Same here, Neil. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us this morning.
Prashant, it's been a tremendous year, essentially. We haven't heard much from you. Can you tell us a little bit what you've been up to the last few months?
Sure. So 2024 has been an eventful year. So I'll start with some highlights, but at the same time, I do want to talk about some of the lowlights of the past 10, 11 months or so. So most exciting highlight has to be really this invention of our low-cost production process, which we talked about and which we have updated investors about. So this is a process that we have already proven on the bench scale, and equally importantly, the work that we have done this year with the funding agencies in the U.S. government gives us a lot of confidence that we'll be able to secure a multi-million-dollar grant to essentially monetize and industrialize this technology for our graphite refinery. So we expect that grant, expect that award in the middle of 2025. Another important aspect of the last 10 months has been, as you know, the funding environment remains challenging, not only for graphite, but almost all commodities over there. But thanks to our existing and new investors and also to Riverford Capital, we have been able to secure financing over the past 10 months or so. On the other hand, Neil, if you look at our two major grants, one was, as I said at the beginning, the US government really has delayed the announcement of the winners. So now I'm here talking about 1 million US dollar grant, which was originally expected in July. Then it got pushed into September, and got pushed into October. And unfortunately, we still haven't heard anything on that. We believe that the announcement is forthcoming. It will be made in before the end of the calendar year, but there's been a delay on that. Equally importantly, as I said, we definitely expect to win this multi-million-dollar grant, but that will happen in the middle of next year. And last but not least, if you look at the macroeconomics or the macro trend on the graphite, you can see the graphite prices, especially the Chinese graphite prices, have been going down for the past almost 20 to 24 months or so. Fortunately, we continue to see a premium for the European market because of the geopolitical tension, because of the freight cost. So that's a bright spot over there. And as you know, we actually started a production campaign about a month and a half ago. And as of today, we have exceeded our production target. So all in all, significant progress, especially on the commercialization of our low-cost technology, but there have been some bumps on the road.
And Prashant, just tell us a little bit more about what's been really the key focus points at the moment. I mean, all eyes as sort of the Bunyu funding and the downstream business. What's actually happening on a day-to-day basis?
No, that's a good place to start. So I do want to reemphasize, and I do want to spend a minute or two and informing our shareholders what's our key focus, what's our strategy, where we are, and equally importantly, where we are going. So we have a low-cost patent pending process for the production of these high purity and ultra high purity graphites. The key point over here is these products are not exclusively manufactured for the battery markets. So they can go into a variety of applications, including oil and gas drilling, advanced batteries, polymers, food grade polymers, all kinds of applications. So our strategy is very simple. We want to fully monetize this technology, patent pending technology, and that the way to monetize it is through our graphite refinery, which we have planned in US, and to start revenue production as early as 2027. So I do want to reemphasize that a graphite refinery is not exclusively for the battery applications. So it's for a wide variety of applications. And the fact that this is a lower cost solution compared to the conventional approaches gives us the confidence, gives us the ability to enter these markets.
And Prashant, I mean, just going back to Bunyu, I mean, what is the hold up? How are things going in the background? Are you making any good progress there on the funding side, and also getting that into sort of offtakes and other further samples?
So, as you recall, new in 2023, we announced two offtakes for the Bunyu project. One was for the fine graphite with a company called Graphics, another was for the coarse graphite with a company called Baishing. And we also started sampling our Bunyu product to a very large US based automotive company. So all those things are progressing. We are also in discussion with a strategic partner, someone who has expressed an interest to take the Bunyu project all the way to the completion, which means really going beyond the feasibility study, going beyond the offtakes, and really put that project in to bring that project online with the production of graphite. So those discussions have been ongoing for the past several weeks. They'll continue to move forward. We continue to talk to bring additional strategic partners, additional financial advisors on board. And at appropriate time, when we have made enough progress, when we have an agreement in place, we'll definitely share it with the investors.
So Prashant, looking into the next few months and early next year, I mean, what can investors get excited about? What are the big key catalysts that you're really working in the background? Obviously, the grant side is out of our control, it seems. The Bunyu funding is obviously critical. The downstream processing, is it more samples? Is it more contracts? Is it the production of Zevalevsky and ramping up? What are the key sort of reflection points that as investors we can really look forward to?
Correct. So let me start off with Bunyu because that's where we started off the discussion with Neil. So a couple things. First and foremost, we actually have a meeting planned with the Ministry of Minerals. So that way we will kick off our free carry interest discussion slash negotiation. And that's kind of a pivotal event because that indicates the transition from a company that's been trying to develop this project to company that wants to bring this project online. The government of Tanzania is very excited, very obviously wants to sit down with us. So I'm excited about that part. As I said, we do want to advance the financing discussion with the strategic partner, and at appropriate time when we actually have a news to share, we will announce that. Equally importantly, on the downstream side, we want to announce that we have won this $1 million grant, which, as I said, I remain very confident about, but we don't have a news yet. And secondly, we have, in my assessment, more than 95% probability of success on this multi-million-dollar grant, which will not happen this year, but sometime in the middle of 2025. So these are very large catalysts for growth, and last but not least, we have had this successful production campaign in Ukraine, and we want to diversify the customer base for those products beyond the existing customers, primarily in the Eastern Europe and some in Japan and Korea. We want to actually get some customers in US because of the price differential for the Western market versus the Chinese market. So I would say definitely total 4 or 5 different events, both covering all those three major activities: the downstream project and the Bunyi project.
And Prashant, just final two things quickly. US, obviously, change of government with Trump and the administration. Obviously, there's going to be some additional tariffs on China, focusing on US. Is that a benefit for us?
It is. I'm glad you bring up that question because a lot of people think that with Mr. Trump coming into the office for the second time, it's going to be doom and gloom for the electric vehicles. And it couldn't be farther from the truth, Neil. So, although the growth of EVs may slow down a bit, it's not really the doom and gloom scenario. So, couple of things from from the world perspective. I'm being very selfish. I want to focus on this $1 million grant and that multi-million-dollar grant. And the simple answer to that question is none of these grants are in jeopardy because of the way we have played those grants. So that's a positive thing. As I said, the electric vehicle growth may slow down a bit, but that doesn't really impact the fact that the demand for graphite definitely exceeds the supply for graphite. And equally importantly, at the risk of sounding redundant, remember the graphite refinery that we are designing and planning for the US is not exclusively for the battery markets. We are going after other markets beyond batteries, such as oil and gas. So we remain very confident that despite the slow anticipated slowdown in the EV growth, it will not impact our growth plans.
Well, Prashant, I mean, thanks for joining us, PTV. Obviously, we've still got, a month or so left of the year, so there's a lot of water to go under the bridge. But look, we want to keep up the good work and good hustle. Hopefully, we do get some validation with what's happening with Bunyu, with a ramp up in production in Zavalevsky, the downstream processing, and that $1 million US grant, and then we can announce hopefully some of the off takers. But appreciate your work and look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Neil. Thank you for taking the time. And we appreciate everything you're doing for Volt and supporting us.